Hi guys, I'm also going to be telling for some days, it doesn't have to be this certain day, a creepypasta story I just made up about furbies. This one is broken, so I thought it'd be perfect to be part of the story. So let's begin. It was a partly cloudy, foggy day, like some, where there was a little girl named Samantha, and Samantha, she'd always like to play Furbies. Then these kind of Furbies came out, the ones that you can interact with and talk to them in their sort of language. Samantha wanted that any more than any kind of Furby in the whole wide world. Samantha got on her knees and begged her parents to get one. Parents had no choice. It's either get a Furby and get some sleep, or spend the rest of your life listening to a daughter beg and beg and not get any sleep. And they finally got her a Furby, but not from the store. Got it off on eBay. It was a Furby that was at a very low price for any kind of Furby. It was only at least $15, and there were like 20 people betting on it. But the parents wait for like 2 seconds, for like 5 minutes left when everyone was asleep, and they betted on it. They won the Furby, and they won it at $14. The Furby was odd. It was alive, but it came in a very strange box. The box wasn't even a Furby box. It came in a white box. And it said with this note, "Take caution." They didn't even put anything in it. The parents just assumed that they were talking about don't put a baby's fingers in its mouth or any of that such. And it's only meant for these kind of kids' fingers. Babies are really delicate, but let's continue the story. So their daughter was just waiting in their room. She didn't even know that her parents had the Furby. Just sitting in her room playing with a little toy boat she had. Parents walk in. The mom's holding the box. The father just walks in first and say, "Honey, look." And then her father pulls out the white box, and Samantha goes, "Daddy, Mommy, what is in the box?" Not to mention she's only 5. And the parents like, "You have to find out for yourself." So she rushes over, opens the box, and screams with happy cheer. Pulls out the Furby. She hugs it so much and then hugs her parents and say, "I love you, Mommy, Daddy, thank you so much." But it didn't come with its batteries. So the father had to rush downstairs, put in its batteries, rush back upstairs, turned on. It can't come with the manual. So the dog started speaking to it in its language. The Furby replied as a regular, new kind of Furby. But the Furby would off. But the thing that got the daughter most excited is when a song came on and the Furby started to dance. She also danced as well with the Furby, and whenever the Furby sang, she hummed the music when the Furby wasn't even singing the song. It just popped out of nowhere. It would pop out anywhere. At dinner, before bed, when they were watching TV, in the car, anywhere, even in the early morning when the parents were still asleep. But then something odd happened after a while. The daughter would often call Furby by a very human name. And the family just got used to it after a while, thinking, oh, it's okay, but no. Furbies, you should come up with wacky names like Bubble Zork or Zappy Zoo. Their daughter called the Furby by a human boy name. She called it Jake. And the parents thought, well, that's kind of very odd. The parents asked, say, honey, who's Jake? They didn't even know that she was calling Jake by the Furby. She said, Mommy, Jake's my Furby. The mother was kind of shocked. Because, say, honey, Jake's a human boy name, not a toy name. And she says, Mommy, Jake is a human. He used to be alive. He tells me. And then the mother was shocked and stepped out of the room. In the morning, when the daughter was still asleep, it's Saturday, the mom and dad got up early because the mom really wanted to tell her husband about this. She told her a lot about the Furby named Jake. And the father was kind of saying, oh, honey, she's just going through a stage where she has an imaginary friend. And she likes to call it by what objects they are. The mother settled down and said, you could be right. She didn't mind it at all. But after a while, it started to go strange. One night when her mother was going to get a drink of water, she saw her daughter in the basement living room, and it was only midnight, and it was like Saturday, and she was talking to the Furby, and the Furby, she told her daughter, say, honey, what are you doing up this late? Her daughter shook a little bit and frightened, and then she said, Mommy, me and Jake are in the middle of a talk. And she says, honey, get back to bed. And Jake needs to go to bed too. And then she asked, honey, what are you even doing down here? Shouldn't you be up in bed? And then her daughter says, Mommy, Jake said to come down here. Her daughter was shocked. She quickly took her daughter up to bed and said, because she thought her daughter was playing pretend. And she says, honey, no more listening to Jake, especially at midnight. Her daughter shook her head. Yes, ma'am. And they thought it might be over, but the night thing didn't happen very well. But when her parents weren't around her very much, she'd often shut her bedroom door. Even if the parents were in the house, she'd shut it. And one time, her mother was walking by with a bunch of dirty laundry going to the laundry room. She heard a conversation going in her room. And her mom said, did she invite over a friend? So she went back into the bedroom and where her husband was watching the football game. She asked, honey, did Samantha have a friend over? He's like, no, not that I recall. And then Samantha's mother went back and knocked on her door and said, honey, who is in there with you? In a very concerned parent way. And then Samantha completely stopped talking and said, no one's in here with me, Mommy. Say, then who are you talking to? And she says, I'm talking to Jake. Her mother was a little shocked, but said, Honey, it sounded like there was a different voice, not normal to a Furby. Say, Mommy, don't be rude. And then the mom just walked away thinking like, okay, maybe she was watching some TV and she was talking to Furby, or maybe she was just mimicking it. Later when her mom came when her mom was going to get her for dinner, she heard a complete different sound like the Furby, like she was talking about earlier. It was a deep, demonic voice. And she heard kind of what the Furby was saying. He was telling her, at midnight you will go outside and come with me. And her mother was shocked. Her mother was very concerned and ran and opened the door as fast as she could and said, Honey, who's telling you to go outside at midnight? And said, Mommy, will you listen to me and Jake's conversation? And then her mother was was mad and terrified at the time. Her mother rushed over in a very mad way and grabbed the Furby and said, Honey, I don't want you playing with this Furby anymore. As a regular child would if they departed to a good toy of theirs that our parents got. They often cry and said, Mommy, don't take Jake away from me. But her mom didn't listen. She put the Furby up in a high place where their daughter couldn't get it, in a closet, and said, Honey, you will not talk to this Furby no more. I mean it. And it was night. Her mother was sleeping, but she heard footsteps. She walked out and saw the closet door was open. And she went over and saw the Furby was gone. There was no stool. Said, my daughter isn't even that high. How did she get that? And then she saw her daughter walk downstairs. She unlocked the door and went outside. Her mother was so concerned. She ran as fast as she could, but her daughter disappeared. All that was left was the Furby. Furby turned on. Nothing else. It wasn't even alive then. It started turning on. Its eyes opened. It had black stud eyes and said these words. Steven.com is the web's most trusted penny auction source. With discounts you have to seize it. There are brand names, brand new products every day. These are a few items. And that's the end of the Furby. No one actually saw Samantha ever again. And the whole family disappeared like Samantha did. No one knows what happened to the family. But all that was left was the Furby.